Grow your business fast with these 9 ChatGPT-5 tricks. Listen, if you want to grow your business fast, you don't have time for complicated strategies. You need leverage. And right now, ChatGPT-5 is one of the highest leverage tools you can use. The problem is most people are just scratching the surface. They ask basic questions and get average results. But if you know how to push it, you can multiply output, cut costs, and grow faster than your competitors. If you want to win in business, you have to understand the difference between activity and leverage. Most entrepreneurs are stuck doing one-off tasks that eat up their time and keep them busy, but don't actually compound. They'll sit there and ask ChatGPT to write one blog post, one email, or one caption, and they think they've checked the AI box. That's not leverage. That's just outsourcing a single piece of work. Leverage is when you build systems that keep producing for you over and over again without you constantly having to refeed them. And the easiest way to create that leverage is to shift how you think about it. Instead of treating it like a one-off freelancer, treat it like a partner that builds repeatable, scalable systems. So let's say you want to get more visibility online. Most people go to ChatGPT and say, write me a post about marketing. They get something generic. Maybe they copy paste it and it dies after a few likes. That's nothing. The way you actually use ChatGPT to scale is by asking it to create a full content engine for you. Tell it to map out a 30-day calendar with themes, hooks, and calls to action that drive people back to your business. Then go deeper, have it create pillar content, break that into micro content, and rewrite it for different platforms. Suddenly you're not producing one post. You've got a system that pumps out blogs, LinkedIn posts, Twitter threads, and Instagram captions, all tied to one message. That's the difference between dabbling and scaling. And here's the part most people miss. You don't have to be the one constantly pushing the button. Once you have a system built inside ChatGPT, you can hand it off to a VA or a team member. They just follow the prompts you've already refined. That means your business keeps producing without you being in the weeds every day. You've essentially cloned part of your brain and delegated it to a machine and a person at the same time. That is leverage at its highest level. Think about customer service. Entrepreneurs love to complain about the number of emails or DMs they get. They'll spend hours every week typing out the same answers. That's a time sink. Instead of asking ChatGPT to draft one reply, build a knowledge bank of the most common questions your customers ask. Then create a system where the AI drafts fast, on-brand responses that your team can tweak and send. What used to take you an hour now takes 2 minutes. That's not just saving time, it's freeing capacity so you can focus on higher level moves that actually grow the business. The same principle applies to internal processes. Every business has steps that get repeated over and over again. Hiring, onboarding, running ads, launching products. If all that knowledge is stuck in your head, you're the bottleneck. But if you use ChatGPT to turn those steps into standard operating procedures, suddenly you've got a playbook that anyone on your team can run. Now, instead of you being the system, you've got a documented machine that runs without you. That's how you multiply your output without multiplying your hours. Here's the truth. Scaling is not about doing more. It's about building machines that do the work for you. AI is one of the fastest ways to build those machines, but you only get the payoff if you stop thinking small. Stop asking for one email, start asking for the entire sequence. Stop asking for one headline, start asking for 10 variations, grouped by style and tone that you can test. Stop asking for one blog post, start asking for a long-form article that can be sliced into short clips, quotes, and graphics. That's the mindset shift. And I'll be real with you, most people won't do it. They'll keep playing small, they'll keep using AI like a toy, and they'll get toy results. But if you treat it like a partner in building systems, you can scale faster than they can even keep up. You're not just saving time, you're compounding output. You're multiplying yourself across platforms, across customer touchpoints, across operations. That's the difference between being busy and actually building something that grows without you. At the end of the day, you have to decide, do you want to play small or do you want to win? Because the people who win are the ones who see tools like ChatGPT not as a shortcut, but as a lever. And when you stack enough levers, you build momentum that feels unstoppable. That's how you grow your business fast. Speed is the only advantage you actually control. You can't control the market, you can't control the economy, you can't control what your competitors do, but you can control how fast you move. And that's the separator between businesses that grow and businesses that stall out. Execution speed, the faster you test, the faster you learn. The faster you learn, the faster you can iterate. And if you can iterate faster than everyone else, you win. That's where ChatGPT-5 comes in. Most people use it like a calculator. They type in a problem, get an answer, and stop. That's not how you win. The power isn't in one answer. The power is in running 10 iterations in minutes. That would normally take you weeks. Think about how most people launch a product. They spend months debating the name, perfecting the copy, tweaking the design, By the time they finally launch, the market has moved on. They wasted all that time polishing something that might not even work. Now contrast that with someone who uses ChatGPT. They generate 20 names in one shot, test them against brand guidelines, and then ask for tagline variations. Next, they draft 5 landing pages in different tones. Then they spin out email sequences, ad copy, and social captions, all in a single work session. Within hours, they've got a full campaign. Now they're testing instead of theorizing. That's speed. And it's not just about marketing. Decision-making is where speed matters most. How many times have you sat stuck in analysis paralysis because you couldn't pick a direction? Days go by, weeks even, because you're weighing all the options in your head. With ChatGPT-5, you don't have to stall. You can throw in your situation, ask for a list of pros and cons, run best case and worst case scenarios, and even have it compare the options through different frameworks like risk versus reward, short-term versus long-term, or profit versus effort. In minutes, you've got clarity. That speed in decision-making compounds because it frees you from the mental drag that keeps most entrepreneurs stuck. Here's what most people get wrong. They think speed means being sloppy. It doesn't. Speed means compressing the cycle of action and feedback. You're not cutting corners, you're cutting time. Instead of waiting for perfect data, you run small, fast experiments. ChatGPT lets you set those up instantly. Want to test messaging? Generate 10 headlines and run them in ads. Want to test positioning? Create 3 customer personas and write copy for each. Then see which resonates. Every cycle you complete is another round of learning. Stack enough of those and you're moving at a pace your competitors can't touch. And here's the kicker. Speed gives you resilience. If you can move fast, you don't fear being wrong. Because even if you miss, you'll adjust quicker than the other guy. Most businesses fail, not because they make one wrong move, but because they make one wrong move and then take 6 months to correct it. That lag kills them. When you operate at speed, mistakes aren't fatal, they're feedback, and ChatGPT-5 makes that feedback loop insanely short. Let's talk about ads for a second. If you're writing them by hand, maybe you produce a couple variations a week. You test them, wait for results, tweak, and try again. That's a slow cycle. With ChatGPT, you can generate 50 variations in an afternoon, grouped by emotional appeal, logical appeal, humor, urgency, you name it. Then you launch them all, get data back in days, and know exactly what angle is converting. That speed of iteration means you don't just find winners faster, you outspend your competitors on the winning ads while they're still guessing. The same goes for content. The algorithm rewards frequency. The more you post, the more data you get on what resonates. But most entrepreneurs don't post enough because it takes too long to create. With ChatGPT, you remove that bottleneck. You're not writing 1 post a week, you're generating a month of content in an afternoon. That consistency builds reach, authority, and trust in the market. And the faster you build trust, the faster you convert attention into revenue. Now let's zoom out. Speed isn't just tactical, it's cultural. When you start operating at speed with ChatGPT, your team starts to move faster too. They stop waiting around for direction. They stop obsessing over perfect because they see the value in iteration. The culture shifts from let's plan forever to let's test and learn. That's how you build momentum. And momentum is what carries you through the inevitable challenges. So the real question isn't, can ChatGPT help me move faster? The question is, am I willing to drop the perfectionism and use speed as my weapon? Because the tool is already here. It can spin up ideas, systems, scripts, and strategies in seconds. But if you're still operating with a slow mindset, if you're still trying to polish one thing instead of testing 10, you won't get the benefit. At the end of the day, speed wins. And right now, ChatGPT-5 is the best accelerator you've got. And businesses that embrace it are going to outpace the ones that don't. Not because they're smarter, not because they have more resources, but because they move faster. And when you move fast enough for long enough, you eventually look unstoppable. Most people think AI is going to replace their voice, their brand, their personality. That's only true if you let it. The truth is, generic input gives you generic output. If you type in the same prompts as everyone else, you'll sound like everyone else. And sounding like everyone else is the fastest way to blend in, get ignored, and stay broke. The real play is to train ChatGPT to speak like you, to understand your offers, your audience, your tone. That way, everything it creates feels aligned with your brand, and nobody can tell if it's AI or if it's you. That's not just smarter, it's how you scale without losing your authenticity. Think about it. Your brand is what makes people choose you over the other guy. It's not just the product, it's the way you talk about the product. It's the words you use, the stories you tell, the energy you bring. That's what makes people trust you. So if you're using AI but you're not training it, you're stripping your business of the one thing that makes it stand out. You're basically giving people the same watered down copy everyone else is pumping out. And if your customers feel like you're just another faceless business, they'll go somewhere else. But here's the good news. It doesn't take much to teach ChatGPT your voice. You just have to feed it the right inputs. Upload past newsletters, scripts, captions, sales emails. Show it the way you phrase things. Highlight words you use a lot, words you never use. Tell it whether you're casual or formal, direct or playful. Give it your customer avatars, your offers, your mission. The more context you give, the more the AI sounds like you. It's like giving it a crash course in who you are and what you stand for. And once it knows that, it doesn't just spit out generic answers. It creates content that feels uniquely yours. Here's where the leverage shows up. Normally, training someone new on your team to sound like you takes months. You'd have them shadow you, study your old work, and practice until they get it right. But with ChatGPT, you can compress that timeline to hours. Once you've fine-tuned it, it's like having a writer who already gets your brand 100% and can turn out work instantly. That means you're no longer the bottleneck for every email, every post, every piece of copy. You've cloned your voice, and that clone can work at scale. This matters even more in sales. Customers buy when they feel a consistent experience across every touch point. If your ads sound one way, your emails another, and your sales team another, people feel friction. They don't know who you really are. Consistency builds trust, and trust drives sales. So when ChatGPT is trained on your brand voice, it can keep everything aligned. Ads, follow-ups, nurture sequences, even customer support. Every message reinforces the same identity. And the stronger that identity, the faster people buy in. Now let's get real. Most entrepreneurs avoid this step because it feels like extra work. They'd rather just copy-paste prompts and take what comes out. But that laziness costs them. They wonder why their content falls flat, why their emails don't convert, why nobody engages. It's because they're blending in. Meanwhile, the people who take the time to train the AI are building assets that feel alive, authentic, and magnetic. That's the gap. Let me give you an example. Say you run a fitness business. You could ask ChatGPT to write a workout post. It'll give you some tips anyone could find on Google, or you could feed it your personal story, how you got into fitness, what your philosophy is, the kind of clients you help, the language you use to motivate. Suddenly, that workout post sounds like you. It's infused with your story, your energy, your point of view. That's what makes someone stop scrolling and pay attention. Not the tips, the voice behind the tips. The same applies to offers. If you just say, write me a sales page for my coaching, you'll get something bland. But if you've trained the AI on your testimonials, your market pain points, your unique method, and your tone of voice, the page will resonate deeply with the exact people you're trying to reach. It won't just list features, it'll speak to their fears, their desires, their objections in the exact way you would if you were in front of them. That's powerful. That converts. Here's the bottom line. Authenticity scales when you systemize it. Training AI on your voice is how you systemize authenticity. And when you do that, you get the best of both worlds. You move fast without losing what makes you special. You can produce more, reach more people, and still sound real. That's how you grow without diluting your brand. And look, the people who don't do this, they're going to drown in a sea of sameness. The internet is already flooded with AI content. You can spot the generic stuff instantly. It has no edge, no personality, no soul. If you don't want to be lumped in with that, you have to make your content unmistakably yours. That's the difference between being scrolled past and being remembered, between being ignored and being chosen. At the end of the day, business is about trust. People don't trust robots, they trust people. If you use ChatGPT as a shortcut and let it erase your personality, you'll lose. But if you use it as a tool to amplify your voice, you'll win because you'll be faster, more consistent, and still authentic. That combination is unbeatable. Most entrepreneurs think of ChatGPT as a way to do more stuff. They ask it to write an email, draft a caption, maybe clean up a script. That's surface level. The deeper value is in using it not just as an executor, but as a thought partner. The reality is most business owners don't fail because they can't do tasks. They fail because they make bad decisions, or they make no decision at all. They get stuck, they hesitate, they second guess. That's where ChatGPT becomes a weapon. You can use it to sharpen your decision making, get clarity on strategy, and hold yourself accountable when discipline starts to slip. That's not about tasks. That's about leadership. Think about the last time you were stuck on a decision. Like maybe it was whether to hire someone, launch a new product, or invest in a campaign. Most people turn that into a mental loop. They spin in circles, waste days, and let the uncertainty drain their energy. Meanwhile, the opportunity window closes. But if you had ChatGPT in the room, you could literally ask it to break down the decision for you. You feed it the context, your goals, your constraints, your resources, and ask for pros and cons. Then you ask it to stress test the option. What's the best case scenario if I do this? What's the worst case? What's the cost of doing nothing? Now you're not paralyzed. You've got a clear framework laid out in minutes. That's speed, but it's also clarity. And clarity compounds. When you're clear, you move faster. When you move faster, you get more feedback. When you get more feedback, you get better. The cycle feeds itself, but it only works if you're willing to treat ChatGPT like a partner, not a vending machine. A vending machine gives you a snack. A partner challenges you, shows you blind spots, and helps you think bigger. That's how you should be using AI. Now let's talk about accountability, because this is where most entrepreneurs fall apart. Everyone knows what they should be doing. That's not the problem. The problem is actually doing it consistently, especially when nobody is watching. You set goals, you get motivated, and then you fall off. The gym gets skipped, the calls don't get made, the content doesn't get posted. Discipline erodes in silence. But you don't have to rely on willpower alone. You can literally build ChatGPT into your accountability system. Here's how. You tell it your weekly targets, your deadlines, your non-negotiables. You ask it to check in with you daily, track your progress, and push you when you fall short. It can remind you of the commitments you made, call out the excuses you're making, and even reframe setbacks so you don't lose momentum. It may sound small, but consistency is what separates people who grow from people who stall. When you have a partner, even a digital one, that keeps you honest, you stack wins faster. And those small daily wins turn into big long-term growth. Another way to use ChatGPT as accountability is for reflection. At the end of the week, instead of just feeling like you made progress, you can walk through a structured review. Ask the AI to prompt you with questions. What did you accomplish? What didn't get done? What bottlenecks slowed you down? What are the top 3 priorities for next week? By externalizing that reflection, you stop lying to yourself. You stop overestimating your productivity and underestimating your distractions. You see the truth, and when you see the truth, you can fix it. This is the kind of leverage that most people ignore because it's not flashy. It's not about cranking out 100 pieces of content or automating customer service. It's about making better choices and sticking to the commitments that matter. But here's the thing. Those are the foundations of business growth. You can have all the hacks and tricks in the world, but if you make poor decisions and you don't follow through, none of it matters. Using ChatGPT as a decision partner and accountability coach fixes that at the core. The other benefit is perspective. When you're in your business, it's hard to see clearly. You get emotionally attached to ideas. You blow up problems in your head. You convince yourself you don't have options. ChatGPT doesn't care about your emotions. Its objective can lay out alternative strategies you wouldn't have thought of, remind you of principles you already know but forgot, and give you a neutral lens on situations that feel overwhelming. Sometimes you don't need a new answer. You just need perspective. And perspective is what keeps you from making emotional, reactive moves that kill growth. So here's the point. Execution is important, but execution without clarity and consistency is wasted effort. ChatGPT isn't just your worker. It can be your strategist, your advisor, your coach. It can challenge your assumptions, organize your thinking, and keep you accountable to the things that actually move the needle. If you treat it like that, your decision-making gets sharper, your follow-through gets stronger, and your growth accelerates. And here's the reality. Most entrepreneurs won't do this. They'll keep using AI for surface-level tasks while ignoring the deeper leverage. They'll keep struggling with indecision and inconsistency, telling themselves they need more motivation or more time, while the ones who get it, the ones who use AI for clarity and accountability, will keep pulling ahead. Not because they work harder, not because they're smarter, but because they're aligned and consistent. And when you're aligned and consistent for long enough, the outcome is inevitable. You win.